America's last hope for climate change. Climate change is America's #1 problem, and if we don't do something now, it will be irreversible. The Earth is changing faster than we know. Ice is melting, temperature is rising, even to the point where animals have to migrate to different areas due to the condition. The people are causing these climate changes, like fossil fuel and motorized cars. America has been fighting climate change since cars and factories, and one of the factories, known as fossil fuels, is destroying the environment as its 93% total of anthropogenic CO2 emissions. Fossil fuels contain materials like oil, coal, and fuel. Talking about fuel, cars take fuel, but they burn this fuel and put CO2 into the air every day. Approximately every year, a driver emits 4.6 metric tons of CO2. This is for only one person, but I have an idea mapped out step by step to lower these emissions. What can we do to lower these emissions? What will be working currently in 2040 is to have all motor vehicles replaced with electric cars. Switching to electric cars will lower CO2 emission by 43%. When driving a motor vehicle, it produces 19.592 pounds of carbon dioxide. That goes straight up into the air. This will be an expensive transport, but we plan to do this over a span of time. But next we look at fossil fuels. Fossil fuels, known as the production of oil, gas, and coal, is extremely harmful to the air. It destroys the environment and public health. We cause these emissions. There are a couple of examples me and you could do to reduce fossil fuels emissions. We can replace solar and wind power to bring in clean energy, obviously switching to electric cars that have a good carbon grid. Another way we could save a lot of carbon emissions is actually carpooling. When you go out with your friends, it's another less vehicle. If or when you ride a bike, you are not producing any carbon. Walking, physical activity, is not using as much CO2. Doing just all these will save approximately 4.6 metric tons of CO2. We have to start somewhere, and we have to start now. I have one more solution that can vary the carbon output into the atmosphere. We call this the net zero carbon building. The net zero carbon building plan is a building that is highly energy efficient and fully powered from on and off-site renewable energy sources. Buildings are responsible for 1/3 of fossil fuels emissions. So when we talk about net zero carbon building, the carbon results will be zero. This plan will be taken in 2030. Buildings created after 2030 will be net zero carbon. By the year 2050, we will have 100% net zero carbon buildings, lowering the carbon emissions by 1/3, cleaning the earth. Thank you guys for watching. I've listed multiple examples how to clean the earth.